Okay, let's go.
Hello.
You have a topic?
I have a topic right off the top.
Okay,
How,
I'm
how
in.
are you? How are you on this mighty fine day? It's
I
spring.
am wonderful.
Spring has sprung. It feels like we're done with the cold weather. So I do a lot of minding my business. That's what I'm best at, right? And today I was minding my business. I'm up early, as you know. I get up at 4 every day. Meet some pals that you know at about 4:30. We work out from 5 to about 10 after 6. I get home. Again, minding my business, flipping through the stations, not local, not regional. Why did I see Richard Bazzy on the national news today? Richard, I'm not letting you downplay this either. I, I'm okay. I have the best invention known to man, which is the kitchen television that you just kind of have on for elevator music, background noise, whatever. So I have two televisions, got the main TV, the kitchen TV, just to keep me up to date, the weather, what's going on. So they're like, Trump is in Saudi Arabia or somewhere. He's meeting with kings. Then they go to some story about the economy. Then I see this guy from Munhall with a cowboy hat. And I said, wait a minute, did somebody switch the channel? Is this local? It was national. You were on the national news today, Richard.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, we did. I was on my way in. I didn't see it, obviously,
I
but
did.
as I was on my way in, and I have an iPhone, so I plug it into the car.
Mm-hmm.
So you listen to your music through the car speakers, but when you do that, you don't get your text. So I was listening to music, get to the office, unplug my phone, and I'm telling you, there were so many text messages telling me what you just did, and people were sending me clips, people were sending me things that say I'm in tears. Colin, I never really have seen anything quite like it in media. It's unbelievable.
I flip through all the news stations, and that's what I do. Like the kids are getting ready for school. I'm
Yeah.
having breakfast or whatever. And it's like flipping through the news stations. It's Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC. It's just to get a national scope, kind of get my brain a little bit ready for the show that I start at 2 o'clock. And I said, I know that guy. And you were with Mark Fogel with this F-150.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Man.
Yes, sir.
Man. Well, that's a good thing you did.
It's and that's the story, not me. The story is Mark. The story is what he's endured. The story is his progression in I'll say recovery and reentry into society, because that's really what it is.
Reacclimation, right? Reacclimation.
That's the right word.
It's almost like an astronaut or something.
It really is. I mean, think about being shut out of 3.5 years of your life. No phone, no nothing, no communication, no reading, can't flip through the news channels. Just imagine that. Just almost complete isolation. He did have the ability to make calls on some timely basis, but it just I can't imagine, which is really at the center of really where it all began. Because I couldn't imagine, I couldn't have done what he did. And that's the story.
Yes. And the other component, because I talked to his sister the day seconds after he was released, I talked to his sister and had her on live. But the other part weighing on his mind was how old his mother was getting and if he was ever going to see her again. That's the other part.
That's a big part.
You know,
that's a big part.
That's national news calling for you, probably, because you're a big star now.
Yes. What? Okay, I'll call you back. Okay, exactly. Now that was my daughter, and I had to hang up on her.
Yes.
And the reason I didn't hang up is because she got a call at the receptionist desk. She just got a call from a lady that's in a different state and on vacation in South, I think it was South Florida, and got a call that she wanted to say thank you for what she saw on Fox News this morning.
I'm telling you.
How about that? Is that crazy?
Well, let's get back to something because we talked about this last week.
Well, I want to go back to seeing his mother again and his sister.
Yes. Well, it all ties in.
Yeah.
You've taught me, look, I'm a kind of hard head and I don't really care for a lot of people, but you've taught me a lesson. And it goes back to what happened last week, too, in Munhall at Steel Valley. If you have the ability to help and you don't take it, then you're wasting that ability and it's all for naught. And so these are two examples that aren't about you, but it's about simply passing it on and paying it forward and doing what you could do for others. And that has rubbed off on me, to be honest with you. And I appreciate all of that. So you think about that lady, right, that just called you on vacation. She might just like pay for somebody's coffee today or help somebody out.
Yep.
And so it all is a domino effect if you could just do something nice one time.
Yep. And it really does. I mean, I get, sometimes I'm comfortable talking about it, sometimes I'm not. But it really does become, if you have the ability, and I think that's original. I don't think I got that from anywhere.
Right.
If you have the ability, then you really have the responsibility. And I mean, I can probably go back in time, a long time, and I'm old, as I'm reminded daily by my dream team. I can remember actually sitting in a casino where I worked and sitting next to people that were so uber wealthy with stacks of chips in front of them, and looking at that stack of chips and saying to, well, I won't say his name, but saying to him, just imagine what you could do with that stack of chips. You could build a community. And at that time, and that was 25 years ago, maybe, at that time, there was probably $8 to $10 million in front of him in chips, which who knows what today's present value of that would be.
Right.
And the first thing I thought was, wow, you could build housing. You could create an entire community with that. Of course, he didn't do that, but and I'm not sure I would have if it was my money, but it was my thought. And that was the where I think it was born, that if you have the ability, then you have the responsibility. And as you get older in your life, I think you realize, because you do start to get to that. Oh, I hate to say this also, but what's the purpose of life? Why are we here? And so you start to analyze that, and you go, well, if I have this, and if I have 2 of these, why do I need 2? I might need 1. If I have 10, maybe I can live on 5. I think it's a little bit of what Donald Trump said, and this is not political, but when he said, I think he was misunderstood when he said, so this year for Christmas, you won't have 10 dolls, you'll have 1, right? A little bit of that. And again, I don't want to weigh in politically on that, but I think, some of that just really makes you think. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. I have a great team, amazing team that has assembled and put this together. I'm thrilled with it, and I love it.
Couple questions I have to offer a little levity. You go back to the casino days where you actually had to pull the lever. It wasn't push button on the slots, right? How about that?
That's not true.
Okay. Second of all, I noticed on that report today, they left out a big thing. You said, you're old. The first
we
truck
don't have to focus on that, by the way.
The first truck that you gave away, the person had to crank start the front of it. I remember.
Have you been talking to Karen, Chelsea?
No, but it is a fantastic thing. You know what I do take away from that when you see the full report? Mark Fogel, being in his 60s, is saying it's the first new car he's ever had in his life. The first new car.
I didn't know that until we were at the Rouge plant in Michigan. I didn't know it until then, which is crazy to me. It floored me.
Because you're a car guy, and you've had, right?
I am a car guy. I mean, I probably had it, and not because it was not an affordability. It was just an obsession and passion. Like I said, I probably had 5, 7 cars before I was 20. So yeah, so I couldn't relate to that. But we spent a lot of time together, a lot of man to man kind of stuff. Um, and he shared a lot with me, and he's going through a lot, and he's still going through a lot. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful guy who deserves every good thing that happens to him.
Well, that's
a good thing.
crazy. I think it's reached a lot of people, and I know it has, and it tentacles out, and it's one of those moments that you see today and say, on my scope and my scale, what can I do to help somebody out? And that's the goal and the aim that's just as big as the act, and probably even bigger.
So that's a very good point. So next time we talk, I'd like you to tell me what you did as a result of that today.
You got me thinking. I've already been thinking about that, to be honest with you, because you forced me to think about that when I saw the story. The other part that this is tough, and I can't believe this, and this is where I can't believe that you did this. I can't believe you kept that quiet.
Well, we had to. We also, we had a lot of uncertainties. We really tried to build everything around Mark. We really wanted to go at his pace, and I think that's the most honest answer I can give you. At his pace, I mean, we love his wife. They love us. They love my dream team, my brain trust, Kara and Chelsea. They have a relationship. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I rarely make time for things like friendships. I mean, I get up in the morning, I work out like you. I come to work, I go home, and then it's like a treadmill. I start all over again the next day. So I felt very compelled to spend time with Mark Fogel.
Well, what did you learn from him?
Humility.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I learned it. That would mean that I have it. I'm not sure I have it.
Right.
I like to think that I do, but humility and being grateful. When he says that it's the first car he's ever had at age 63, I mean, it's pretty powerful, And I look around, I look at my life, our life, my kids, you, my girls here. I mean, we're also very lucky. So that's what I learned from him.
Yeah, it came across. It was very powerful thing, and I'm glad you did it.
One final thought that I want to share, because it was like kind of a weird thing to me. He was in 8 prisons in Russia, 8 different prisons. So I guess in prisons, they have libraries or pseudo libraries or something for the inmates. And in each of his 8 prisons, he saw, and didn't make any connection to anything, but he saw the same book about Henry Ford.
Are you serious?
I am. What was it? Kara, what's the name of the book?
My Life and My Work.
My Life and My Work by Henry Ford, and the story of Henry Ford. And and it just hit him one day. He's like, wait, this is so weird. I saw that book, and it's out of print now, and it's written in Russian, and he speaks Russian.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that crazy?
That is pretty crazy that there's a commonality, the vein through all that stuff. And it comes back to an American icon and a great American brand. And
I like the way you said that. That's great.
And it also, in a sense, and I don't want to get too philosophical, but it also kept an American spirit alive. Like if you think of it in those terms, during captivity.
You make that note. That's fabulous. An American icon.
Yeah, great American brand.
Yeah, great.
And wow. Well, good stuff. I'm glad we had this talk because.
Well, thank you for not talking sports, because it's been a boring week in sports anyway.
It'll be a better week. The schedule's going to come out. All that.
What do you feel? Do you feel like anything about these overseas games?
I've come to not mind it more and more because it's for TV and it's for people to take a one-off trip. Like I'm fine with it. It's the first place I want to go in life is to, Dublin or Germany or whatever. I love traveling. The last place that I want to go with 1 million Steeler fans is overseas. That's just the way I feel about it. So I'll never go on one of these trips because I like to, like I told you before, I like to just kind of keep it moving myself and mind my business. So I don't like to travel in big groups like that. I like to do things at my own pace, my own itinerary, and I'm not a real touristy guy. I like to get out into the neighborhoods and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's good for people that want to do that. I'm not going to knock that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's very disruptive, I think, to the teams.
Yes, you're right about that, but it's not disruptive to their pocketbook. So that's what's first.
Yeah. So again, boring week in sports, not a lot to talk about, but looking forward to the upcoming season. And I did see, I think I told you on something else that we talked about. You saw what they constructed as a countdown to the draft?
I did that clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like that clock wasn't built in 2 weeks, right? So, and I wondered about that. And I wondered, because they brought in a new PR company, and I don't know who it is, but I'd like to. But it tells me that, man, this is going to be a big event here. And in the number of draft picks we're going to have, it's going to be unbelievable.
You know what else I thought of? If they draft a quarterback first and they trade up, and essentially they do it on that Thursday night, right? They're going to parade that guy around our crowded town all weekend, and he's going to be the belle of the ball.
He's going to be the hometown hero right from the jump.
Yep. You know what else about that clock?
What?
You should maybe think about that clock, or a machination of it, a countdown to truck month clock outside the Wexford store, kind of like it. Or at least putting a clock up on the sign like that.
That's not a bad idea.
When you get closer, like 45 days, whatever, X amount of minutes, or not a bad idea. I'm full of good ideas. I just don't give all of them to you because, I kind of want to copyright some of them. But that one might not be terrible once you get about 60 days out from truck month.
We'll take that under advisement.
Okay. Well,
through the brain trust.
Okay.
I love you, man.
I'll talk to you next week. There's going to be schedule to talk about. And are you ready for this? I bet there's a new quarterback to talk about.
Oh, don't tell me. If you really believe that he's coming here, please don't tell me that.
I don't know who it is. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying there may be a new. No, I'm not. There may be a new quarterback on the roster.
Do you have some insight into something?
None. I just think timeline wise it fits.
Okay. Can't wait.
Wednesday.
I'll be